All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to discuss the latest offseason news and rumors in New York Mets land. Before we do that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are recorded now live regularly every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, as we are right now. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all that great stuff. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored, you're just being starred throughout the show, we'll try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for more content over there. And for our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It will be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 179 of our show. And I'm not sure what just popped up on the screen here, but let me just get rid of this. Okay. Either way, let's get into everything that is going on. And Frank, obviously, we have plenty to talk about. There was a huge article that was dropped by the big name known as Jeff Passan, which we are going to get into. Some reports that we know, some that we know already, some interesting stuff. But this is basically what we have been hinting at before the offseason even started, of conversations that maybe Mets fans might be a little uncomfortable having. And when you fail like this and you fall short with a near $400 million payroll, you got to at least expect it possibly coming.
And it's more than just what happened this year. I mean, this year was the final straw because it was the worst year given the expectation. But overall, I mean, it's been a lot of failure under the Steve Cohen regime. I mean, he took over this team, and far too often they're just missing the postseason altogether and just not achieving what they should. So I just feel like this year, so just such a magnitude when you add Juan Soto to a team that you thought finally had it going. Like, oh, we made to LCS. We're finally where we wanted to be these few years, and they just missed the playoffs again. So, I mean, they're definitely like, what is going on here? They got to make a major shakeup, and that's what it is shaping up to be. I mean, with all the names you're hearing being floated around and expected to be moved, the potential things that are out there for the team that they can do, you might be looking at a pretty different team come opening day. So we'll see who's involved, who stays, who goes, who they add, but it's definitely going to be, it could be an eventful offseason. I mean, there's a lot of different ways they could go as far as what position you want to take. I mean, what pitcher you want to move. I mean, they're going to have some decisions to make, whether not only the guys they have now, but some things are being talked out there, even the future guys. I mean, some of the talk of the prospects that could be moved for the names that are out there on the trade market. That's who you're going to have to move. I mean, that's one of the things that I feel like we really have got to understand here is that they could talk about, oh, you might want to shop Nemo, you might want to shop McNair, you might want to shop Senga. But it's like if their value is down and you might have to eat some money, who do you think you're getting in return? Like you're not getting this amazing player back. So the way you're going to get improvements to this team via trade is with your prospects. So that's the other thing they have to look at too. So there's going to be a lot happening.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, internally, there's a lot to go over because, again, of how much they failed last year. I mean, we keep continuing to this year. They failed miserably, and I feel like it's being looked at as maybe just, okay, let's piece this thing together. But no, they're going to have to dive deep into the soul of this team, and whether that does involve letting certain free agents go, or whether that means, making trades or trading core members that have been here for a long time, they're going to possibly have to do that because they can't continue to go off like this. Now, for those of you in the stream right now, I'm seeing that we have like this vertical version of our stream that's going out as of right now. I'm not sure how it's being seen right now. I
Vertically.
wish I could just completely get rid of it.
I
But
accidentally added that. I think I
oh, did you
broke it.
accidentally add
So
it? All right.
yeah,
Well,
I
I
can't.
guess we'll. I don't. Is this on? I may be on your channel. I don't know, but
Yeah, I think mine is vertical.
is
It
it
said
on
it's
your channel?
recommended. So I mean, it's Streamyard's
Okay.
fault. They said,
Well,
"Oh, do both." So I said, "Okay, I'll do both."
yeah. I mean, I've been seeing some people doing this stuff, but I don't think I prepped anything for it to be in vertical. So we're probably in
Also,
a
the
very
graphics are
messed up.
probably all over the
It's
place.
probably all
Oh,
screwed up.
well,
But hey,
there is
it'll
also an
be
audio
on
version.
your channel. So hey,
Great.
nothing on me. But
To
anyways,
sabotage myself. Yeah.
yes,
Nice.
self-sabotage, whatever. You just didn't know what was coming. I don't know what to tell you. But as for some of you guys in the chat here, we've got Lane, we've got Matt, we have Daniel in the chat as well. Evan too, saying wonderful shirts. Absolutely. Frank Major in the chat as well. We have Joshua. We have plenty of Mets fans here ready to talk New York Mets stuff. Whoops. All right, let me just keep that in there. Okay, we've got Merlin watching here as well. We've got plenty of people in the chat. Now, Andrew is not in. Andrew is not here for a second. He was here for a second, and then he had to step out. So if he comes back, he will come back. But as for everything that is going on this offseason, because again, we can attack this from so many different angles. There is free agents that could be retained, that couldn't be retained. We also have plenty of outgoing pieces, like we said. And we had Jeff Passan, the head writer for ESPN for Major League Baseball, basically put out an article for basically everything to look out for in the Mets offseason. And I want to get into some of the snippets that were more related to the Mets, obviously. And there was some interesting stuff. Let's just say that. Some stuff that we know and we figured would happen. And then some stuff that was maybe a little bit surprising, or maybe something that we did not expect to gain so much traction this early in November before even the GM meeting started. So we'll get into some of the stuff that we saw from Jeff Passan of what is in store. Now, there was obviously a report about the Mets' potential position player trade pieces. And Passan basically said that the Mets are blowing up plenty. It's not just Luis Angel Acuna or Mark Vientos or Brett Beatty. Center fielder Brandon Nimmo, who has no full trade clause protection, and utility man Jeff McNeil can also be had, as well as some other pieces that are in the rotation. Kodai Senga as well, which we have talked about as a possibility who could be offloaded. Passan said that he is extremely available, and multiple executives expect him to be traded this winter as the Mets look to overhaul their rotation, which obviously the rotation failed the way that it did. You'd expect them to overhaul it. Now, we also had some stuff about Edwin Diaz as well on the reliever market. The Mets want him back, but they might not want him as much as other teams or players. New York is in on Devin Williams, whose connections to those in the Mets organization, including President of Baseball Operations David Stearns. One closer that won't be returning, which I think we all expected by now, is Ryan Helsley, though his implosion in New York after the trade deadline hasn't hindered his market. A little bit on Pete Alonso, didn't say much, but he said Alonso's willingness to play designated hitter offers sorts of avenues for a first base only mindset. He could stay with the Mets, move up to Boston, bring Cincinnati the big bat it desperately needs. The Mets are among those targeting first baseman. He also linked us to Okamoto, and he also linked us to Murakami as well. but very lightly. Speaking of big bats, there was also some stuff about the Mets having interest in Kyle Schwarber, saying that the Mets are one of the few teams that are interested in Kyle Schwarber, who could be one of the big bats to sign this offseason, sign first. The first big bats to sign this offseason. Schwarber is in such demand this offseason that his offers will likely bump his average annual value to more than $30 million a year. And the New York Mets stealing him from Philadelphia would be a coup. Now, again, plenty of scattered reports here. Most of the stuff that we obviously know. We've talked about Brandon Nimmo, as Andrew appears again after his little technical difficulties there. So welcome back, Andrew. Anyways, we obviously know about the Brandon Nimmo situation. It is really hard to offload that contract in this sense because, like we've said, no trade clause, signed through 2030, is not a center fielder, which he was paid to do. Even though Jeff Passan said that he was a center fielder, which he has not been a center fielder for like 2 seasons. So, Frank, obviously I'll go to you. We've talked about Nimmo and the concerns of how maybe his body might be deteriorating a little bit earlier than we expected. Obviously, again, I still don't think that this is very possible because of all the moving parts that you need, but we'll see where they go with these certain trade pieces, and I'm glad that they're at least considering it this offseason with a team that failed like this. So, I mean, I just don't think that this is very possible, but at least they are exploring and they know that there are some avenues that could make this team better, even though it possibly might not happen considering the circumstances.
And the thing is, it's pretty early to be exploring as far as where he is in his contract. It's not like, oh, well, you only have him this year and the next year. It's like, no, we're still talking about a few more years for Nimmo. So, like, is that something that is to your advantage or probably more of your disadvantage? Because, again, it's like, who really wants to take that contract? Who's willing to take that contract? Because what are you paying for? He was signed to be a center fielder. He has not been a center fielder, and very quickly he had to move to a corner, and he hasn't been great at the corner either. So, overall, I find that Nimmo, he's been a frustrating player to watch based off what we know he's done in the past. I just feel like he's been in this constant identity crisis. Like, does he want to be the old Nimmo that was an on-base guy? Does he want to be someone who hits more for power? And I think him moving around all over in the lineup has definitely led to those changes in his approach. And I still find that for Nimmo, like, if he was a guy who was a 400 on-base percentage player, that's not something that most guys are. Like, that is very few players who are capable of doing that. And he was able to do that from the top of the order. So to me, I feel like you want to maximize what kind of player you have. If Nimmo is best suited to be a leadoff hitter, he should be the top of the order. He shouldn't be batting cleanup. He shouldn't be batting in an RBI spot. Even though he's had success with runners in scoring position, it's really not his strength. And I just think that it's become a very rough fit for him because you add in Francisco Lindor, who needs to be at the top. You add in Juan Soto, who needs to be at the top. So all of a sudden, Nimmo's kind of stuck in this. Nimmo is in limbo, basically, where you're trying to find like the best spot for him. And it just felt like all year long they're changing him in the order. And he every now and then you saw like flashes of it, like, oh, there's Nimmo, and then he kind of went back to not being himself. So I think that's something they do have to explore. I mean, it's something you have to look at, but again, it's one of those things we're talking about where you're not getting a great return. So even if you were able to move Nimmo, well, now you still have to find someone to replace him that is a better fit. So maybe someone who is more of your traditional power hitter that you would want in those RBI situations, someone who is a more consistent home run hitter. Because with Nimmo, it just felt like when he was hitting homers, it was in bunches. Like, you'll see a week where Nimmo hits a few, and then a few weeks where he just doesn't hit any at all. So it just felt like he wasn't able to find that consistency. Obviously, there's going to be another hitting coach. So, I mean, how's that going to affect things? What kind of hitter is he going to try to make Nimmo? They changed the whole hitting department, basically. So, it is kind of interesting. Like, does he fit with the new guys that they brought in to be the coaches as well? Like, that's something we also have to consider, is that you do have a lot of things that are changing very quickly.
Yeah, again, we've talked about this, and I've said it many, many times on here. Is the coaching change enough? We don't know. And maybe the Mets think that the coaching change isn't enough if they are looking to overall parts of the roster. Now, we did get a report from John Heyman the next day saying that the Mets have not asked Brandon Nimmo about his full no trade clause. So I'm just guessing that it's basically just seeing what you can get possibly for him and basically exploring the needs. But again, when it comes to the guys available on this trade avenue here that we just saw, Brett Beatty has been brought up. Jeff McNeil, we know that is most likely on the outs. If it doesn't happen, then I really don't know how they're going to completely, build up this infield or give any ample playing time to the young guys. Andrew, Mark Vientos, we've talked about possibly getting traded as well. Luis Angel Acuna, we've seen as a odd man out as well. I mean, there is plenty of opportunities that the Mets have to move pieces, either for veteran pieces or dump salaries to bring in other guys from free agency to make the team either deeper, better, fill in some avenues that were kind of weaknesses last year. So, I mean, considering how many infielders are on that list, there's many avenues you can go. So it's not like it's only just one avenue of a guy, but this is basically what we've been saying. Pick one guy, stick with them if you believe in one, and if you don't believe in one, maybe trade one of them because they're not all going to get ample playing time, and go on the free agent market or trade for someone. It's like that infield, it's just like make a decision. That's pretty much it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and again, like we've said it how many years now, just pick one guy. And again, and even in this report, I guess if you want to play, okay, what name wasn't on the list? Ronnie Mauricio wasn't officially named, but obviously we probably expected, isn't it? So at some point we said, just pick one. Do I give a shit who it is? No, as long as you pick the guy, because even if you want to get more flexible, okay? You can't have the same bench, because Acuna's going to be a bench guy. He's your backup infield. Trent's going to be the backup catcher. There's half your bench right there. And if you want to get more flexible, you would expect probably add an outfielder. So Tyrone Taylor is going to be the fourth outfielder. So there's 3/4 of your bench. And
yeah,
if you want to get any new additions, you have to clear these guys out. Yes, you could say one's going to play second, one could play third. But again, you're going under the same offense of, okay, you're not improving the infield then. If you're willing to go back with Mauricio's playing second, or do you want to give Jet Williams second base, fine, and Beatty's playing third. So now you're banking on no offensive upgrades, and again, depending on if Pete Alonso's back or not. So you're pretty much saying, okay, here's the infield. My point is, if you're trying to improve, these guys have to get out of here. You've burnt most of their options beside Ronnie Mauricio, which he pretty much outright said he manipulated to have that last option for Ronnie next year at the GM meetings, which is fine. Okay, Mauricio can go back to Syracuse and, play baseball. Cool. He's playing winter ball. There's probably a 90% chance that, barring injuries, he's probably starting next year in Syracuse, which is fine. So, okay, Acuna's out of options, Vientos out of options, and Beatty obviously out of options. So pick your guy of those three guys. One is a defensive-only player. One is a bat-only player, and the other is a small mixture of both. Like, that's what you got. One can play multiple positions.
I think Beatty has one more option. One more option?
Beatty's got, okay, so then,
yeah.
So if Beatty's got one, he's the only guy that has options left. So the point of, okay, you have to get rid of the other two. If you're picking Beatty and Mauricio, fine. Because one, you could stash, they both have an option. You could stash them in Syracuse, fine. The other two have to go. And then opening up DH position, if you want to continue this revolving door, which it seems the Mets never just want to say, all right, you hit 40 bombs, you're our DH, and enough, or platoons and none of that, which, again, we'll see. But if they're going to swing this revolving door of, even if they bring back Pete Alonso, let's say, and then maybe, let's go crazy a little bit, and they sign Bellinger, so we're going to rotate Alonso, Soto, Nimmo DH possibilities. So, again, you need that flexibility. If you're not having a full-time DH, then you need that extra bench spot. And find a guy, if it's a run prevention, obviously Stern's the one that brings run prevention, and maybe that's Acuna. But, again, Acuna is giving you no offensive value. So maybe you find that on the free agent market. Maybe you could trade for it. But again, you have to clear out these guys to open the spot, because you can't, again, go another year of keeping this group together from the young players, the young player position of this whole group of Beatty, Acuna, Ronnie, and Mark, and Alvarez is obviously separate in this conversation. You can't do this again. Like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, and we've done this for 3 years now. Pick your guy and clear the rest out and bring in more of your guys, and I'm talking directly to David Stearns. Bring your guys in. And if that's Jet Williams, which I know you didn't draft Jet, but again, if you see Jet Williams as a piece of this franchise, okay, there's a way to get him on this roster. Or if you want to bring in another version of Jose Iglesias in the offseason that you identify as better than Nick Madrigal, that gives you that bench spot opportunity. It's just the clut of this roster that we've been crying for. This article shows, but again, it also, of those guys, Acuna's got no value. Vientos is at his lowest value. Beatty's at his highest. And then obviously Senga and McNeil is higher, but then you just realize he doesn't have an arm anymore. And then Senga's the pitcher, who you're selling at a buy low candidate. So like, okay, all these guys are, you'd love to get rid of them, but they're all flawed. It's not like, well, you're giving away, good assets like, the Red Sox are, they got to get rid of Jaron Duran or Willie Abreu or, Sandel Rafael or Makataka. Like, no, you don't have that issue. You have a bunch of flawed, one-dimensional, and bad one-dimensional players, and now you're just trying to hopefully pair them up together to, like Carson said, maybe take a bad contract on, maybe a team sees an upside in Vientos that maybe you attach him in a big blockbuster trade, or maybe him and Nimmo go again. But again, we'll go to the Nimmo thing quickly. Again, like we said, I would expect Stearns to talk to GMs first, and if they can, what Heyman's saying, like, Nimmo hasn't been approached. Nimmo's not going to get approached until there's like a trade agreement, and then obviously the last step will be, okay, Nimmo, yes or no. So I'm not shocked when you brought up the Heyman report. That's how every trade, the GMs can talk and I agree, handshake deal, yada yada, and then the player can just go, yeah, no. So again, I'm not surprised that he hasn't been asked approached, but again, the fact that he is open and Stearns is open, and it has to be done. And there's a video coming about Brandon Nimmo pretty soon, which I will hold a lot of my thoughts on for that video. But again, it's the right thing. Again, you need to get out of this money, and it's bad because, again, like Frank said, this isn't. And I've seen some people like, the Mets have got out of Scherzer and Verlanders. Yeah, those were 2-year deals. Yes, you had the ability to pay, and they were pitchers at a trade deadline with a market of trade where pitchers was non-existent. So you had everything go right, and then it's in season, so the player doesn't have to go, well, is this team good? It's the trade deadline. Only contenders are taking those, wanting those players. This is a 5-year, over $100 million deal with, again, he has to prove that you're going to have to eat money. And again, if he's not going to a contender, which what real contender would want him, but everyone's like, we can just dump him to Colorado because it's his favorite team, or some asinine, report on WFAN about a certain fish. Like, this is what we're talking about here. Like, I think it can happen, but I'd say it like 5%. Like, you would have to have every single thing line up perfectly for this to happen. That's why it's not going to happen, but I'm not going to say it's a 0% chance because, again, guys can move with no move clauses, but it can get toxic. And I don't think Stearns is going to get to the level of it needs to get toxic to get him out of here. So that's my thing.
No. I mean,
there's been a lot of crazy talk with some of the rumors. I mean, there was even one about Minnesota. Like, no, I mean, because you're talking about potentially 2 trades with each team having a guy with a no trade clause. You think both of them are going to approve it? Like, first of all, why would Nimmo want to go to Minnesota? Why would he want to go to the Angels? Like, there's just no actual logic behind it. Like, all these theories, all these concepts, like a lot of this stuff works in MLB The Show. It doesn't work in real life. I mean, when you think of like everything that goes into it, like,
you're getting frustrated with MLB The Show players now?
No, MLB The Show is fine, but the people who
that game doesn't
think
that
real life is MLB The Show it's just craziness. I mean, like, this stuff is just not practical. It doesn't make any sense how this would actually happen. Because it's like, why would Nimmo say yes to that? Why would he want to go to absolutely terrible teams? Why would he want to do that? I mean, he's been a Met his whole life. He's not doing it. He shouldn't do it if I were him. Like, why would I want to go to Minnesota or to Anaheim? Like, that's just really dumb. And I think the whole reason why we're even talking about these guys is because they've struggled. It's like if Senga was doing what he did in the first half, P. Alonso didn't break his hamstring, we wouldn't be talking about trading Senga. We'd be like, oh, we need to build around this guy.
Yeah.
Vientos does what he did in the playoffs 2 years ago. Oh, we want to keep him at third base. We're not trying to put him in the minor leagues. We're not trying to DFA him. It's all about because these guys have been brutal. That's why they are exploring these trade options. McNeil, batting champ McNeil. If he does what he's supposed to, we want to keep him. Nope, he's doing bad. We want to trade him. Like, if everyone thinks you can't just trade everybody, like again, you still have to replace your whole team. I mean, that's like Andrew said. Like we're talking about like low value. I mean, that's what you're talking about with all these guys. You're not getting anything. Who would want them? Yeah. If you don't want them, why do you think they do?
But that's the argument that I can't stand when I'm like, why trade him at his lowest value? It's like because then that makes him untouchable. That's why, because you trade him at his lowest value, then he gets his value up, and you're like, oh, no, I'm not trading him. He played well for us. Okay, so when the hell are you going to move him? It's like, and you're going to tell me, oh, and people would do this with Jeff McNeil all the goddamn time. This is what annoys the living crap out of me. Why trade him at his lowest value? Why trade him at his lowest value? Okay, so when he gets his value up, and you want to keep him because everyone's reactionary, you know what's in this town, in this market. When are you going to trade him? When are you going to move him? Is he just untouchable? No, he's not. He's Jeff McNeil. He's not. He probably will be. He probably won't move because, we're all friends here. But again, they do need to look at some of these pieces and they need to say, okay, how can I acclimate to other parts of the roster that really struggled last year? And we all know that coming from this infield, like we said, without options, without, with whether it was value going down or limited value or value that they can give to the team, there's a lot that goes into it to a fact of, well, I mean, you got to move someone in order for this team to improve. Because are the coaches enough? Are the coaches just going to magically turn these guys into career years? I don't think so. I just don't. And then there is the other part of the highest value, and that being Brett Baty right now. Out of all the guys that were mentioned, being Brett Baty. Again, I'm not saying that history is just going to sit here and repeat itself. And I'm also not going to say that history isn't going to repeat itself with his production. I personally think they need to sell high on Brett Baty. I have been public about that they need to sell high because we have seen the very worst of Brett Baty and we've also seen now the very best. And if you think that the very best is going to come after him, he's going to be 26 years old next year. We've seen a good amount of Brett Baty. We've seen over 1,000 plate appearances in the major leagues already from Brett Baty. And that's fine if that's okay. And if the new hitting coaches help, that's fine. If you want to keep him, that's fine. But there also is a part of reality where I'm like, okay, there's a lot in this bat that I don't like. And then there's also the argument of his defense. Ronnie Mauricio has better range than him. I know that a lot of people don't think so, but he does. He also has a better arm than him. And then Vientos, I'd say, in that argument, is a better hitter than him. So again, I'm not saying that you need to trade Brett Baty, but if the best offer comes back, if you get the best offer and he's put in a deal for, let's say, one of the top starting pitchers that could get moved, you have to consider it. Because again, what people are saying about Brett Baty this year, they said the same thing about Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos is our third baseman of the future after 2024. We're going to say that after 2025 now? Like, we've seen these guys go up and down before. We've seen them waste out value. You have to at least consider it. At least just consider it. That's all I got to say. Frank?
Yeah. And I think also, with Baty, what are we really talking about here? We're saying, this is the best of Baty. This guy was barely above league average when the season was over. We talked about the home and away splits.
He had 2 good months offensively.
Yeah, he had 2 good months. And we're saying, this is our third baseman of the future. I just think that while Vientos struggled this year, the best of Vientos was better than the best of Baty by quite a bit. So offensively.
Absolutely.
Defensively, you want to say, listen, at least the glove will hold up no matter what. the glove still wasn't amazing. I
still think Mauricio is the better defender.
Mauricio is the better defender, and while Beatty is much better than Vientos, he's still not great at third base, all things considered. So I just think that like we can't be like, oh my gosh, Brett's like the guy. I don't know about that, and I wonder like, okay, let's say like Andrew said, you're gonna have to make a decision on some of these young players because we talked about how I really disliked the way they handled Mauricio at the end of the year. He sat on the bench for a month, and then they didn't want to play Vientos, and then there's injury, and then all of a sudden Mauricio's playing last game of the season. Like that was just absolutely crazy to me. So like Ashley, you have got to make a decision on which ones you are taking with you into the season. Now, if let's say, just for sake of argument, Vientos has this great spring training and Beatty's so-so, what are you going to do then? Are you going to send Beatty to the minors and just have Vientos win the job?
Well, like, does have an option.
Is this
round and round we go
kind of thing in spring training, or are we going to battle it out again? Like, I mean, what are we going to do with that? I mean, I feel like that's something they can consider too. Or I mean, you put Beatty, you trade McNeil, put Beatty at second, and put Mauricio at third, and Vientos at DH. Find a way to get everybody in. Like, there's a lot of different ways you can go, but it's like, should you? I mean,
it's a revolving door of inconsistency. Yeah. It's literally it. It's just a revolving door of inconsistency, and it's not fair to any of these young guys, whether we're high on them or low on them or not. It's just not. Like you can't. I mean, I screamed about this, I'm pretty sure last week. You can't have 100 players at one position. And you can't use the rest of them as depth if they're young players because they're not going to develop into anything. A guy like Luis Angel Acuna, who I'm not very high on, but it's not fair to him at all to just have him rot on the bench and be a pinch runner. Is that all he maybe is good at the major league level? Maybe. But he needs that playing time in order to show you what he is capable of. And I feel like we've seen a decent amount of playing time from Mark Vientos. We've seen a decent amount of playing time from Brett Beatty. We haven't seen much of Ronnie Mauricio because he's been injured or they just have him rotting on the bench. So I understand why Ronnie Mauricio is not featured in there. And I personally would give him another year because I'm a little bit more higher on him, maybe probably more than the two of you. But if he needs to go in a trade, I'm not going to sit here and hold on to him like he's the guy of the future, like people are viewing Beatty as of right now. Beatty was a serviceable major leaguer in 2025. And I do believe that he has earned the right to be the third baseman on opening day. Does that mean he should be if another possibility obtains itself for them to make an upgrade? I can't sit here and say, well, Brett Beatty, I'm committing him. He's committing to him. He is the third baseman of the future. He's not. He hasn't shown that he is. Maybe we need back-to-back years of that, and we were hoping to see that from Vientos. Didn't see it from Vientos. Then the void was filled by Brett Beatty for some stretches, and now we're clinging on to that. To be honest, I don't see Beatty, Vientos, Mauricio as of right now because we haven't seen much, or Acuna in the future plans for this team. I don't. I don't see them as future pieces for this team of a guy that I'm like, it's like, okay, let me put it this way. And I know this is probably a shitty way to say it. Andrew, I can put it up to you. Beatty, Vientos, Mauricio, Acuna, those four. Are there any of those guys that you're like, okay, I'm going to go up to them and say, yeah, okay, here's an extension. You're going to be a future part of this team. Do any of them have an argument for that?
No.
Not at all. Exactly.
No, not it. But I guess this is my thing. And I know you do need and this is what the conversation is. You still need to have these free guys. And maybe that next group, that third is going to make that next group, those guys. The Jet Williams, maybe it's Jacob Reimer, maybe AJ Ewing, who, has been skyrocketing up front. Maybe that's going to be the next cheap depth and I think it's fine to burn these guys 6 years of eligibility and let them walk in free agency. That's possible. But like I said, there should be no one should be off limit of this group if it's a stop pitcher. But also you have to have the conversation. Okay, if all these guys are gone or whatever, then what's second base? Are we going to just go back in the same restart the cycle of okay, now it has to be Jet Williams, or Jacob Reimer playing? Like we're still going to be in this cycle. There might be new names, but like, and that's like, and I'm not saying go out and sign Bo Bichette at second base, which we're talking about, but like, do you just go like everyone just says go out and get a second baseman? Like I've seen so many people on Twitter and other social media like I'm tired of this glob of chaos that we have at second base. Go sign a second baseman and just trade everybody else. Okay, so now you're gonna go sign a veteran or trade for let's say Brendan Donovan, just throwing a name out just to have placeholder name here. Okay, so now you're blocking Jet Williams. So again, we're still having the same conversations, but with the next group. So like that's my point. It's like. They need to decide, pick
I think
one,
it's the want for change. I think that's what it is. I think it's the want for change from Jeff McNeil, who is not really a traditionally, I guess, like attribute formed second baseman. Like he's a contact hitter, but that's basically like he doesn't use his lower half. He's not like again, I think it's the need to have more athleticism up the middle or more like just younger youth up the middle, which again, if you want Jet to be in that conversation, I don't think it's going to come right away. And I think that you're probably going to have to, if you want it to be Beatty at second base, if you want it to be Maurice, I'm not saying trade all of them, but like I said, out of those four, is there anything stopping you from trading them? Like, is there anything stopping you right now of like the baby Mets? Here they come. No, like they all in any sort of case, in any sort of stretch have been underwhelming and they all have their deficiencies. As much as I loved what Mark Vientos did in 2024, if he doesn't hit, he's the worst player in all of baseball. And that's true. It is. And to be honest, he was not hitting for the first half. And mathematically, he was one of the worst in all of baseball. Brett Beatty, we haven't seen a consistent bat from him. He probably has the highest, highest floor probably out of the four of them. As a player, I'm not going to say as a hitter, as a player, because his defense has improved. Luis Angel Acuna has basically proven that he's a pinch runner. That's about it. And who am I missing here? Mauricio. We haven't seen it all. Mauricio has what, like 250 plate appearances in the majors?
And not all of them are fully healthy.
Not all of them ever are fully healthy.
ACL takes a long time to get your strength back.
It does. And
like,
also
and
the
in
fact
those 250,
of...
like you've seen some really nice at-bats. We've also seen some really ugly at-bats. You'll see the home runs like, wow, like in San Francisco. You're like, wow, that was a shot. You know what I mean? Or Colorado, of course, field out to be like, wow, look at Bruce. He has like this power. But then it's like, oh, but then he hasn't hit a home run for a few weeks. And then
also, they were coached by Eric Chavez.
That's true.
Which is basically a kiss of death. Which, again, I think that almost any of these young guys has a recipe to succeed under the new coaching staff compared to this, but you still have to allocate to the roster for them to, I don't know, build a better contender. Because I think we can all agree, we all can agree right now that this 2025 team was not constructed properly. It wasn't. And that's one of the main reasons as to why they failed. And that goes on David Stearns. That goes on the front office, obviously. But they're going to have to learn from those lessons. And one of those lessons has to be pick a goddamn infielder. Please. And if Vientos ends up being the guy that goes, whatever. If that ends up being Beatty, whatever. If it's Acuna, someone. Please, someone. That's all I ask. Move somebody. Because, again, you can't have this logjam. It's not just we need one guy in one position for our fantasy team. It's the fact that it's not fair to these young guys who are in either the early stages or the end stages of their development to be sitting on the bench as a platoon role. And I think the number one guy in this infield that has to go is Jeff McNeil. I think we all can agree. I know Frank is sentimental in this sense, but it only makes sense for Jeff McNeil to be moved right now. I think we can all say that. Is there realities where somebody else is moved? Maybe. However, with McNeil, you talk about run prevention up the middle, more athleticism, more of the stealing bases. He doesn't fit that category anymore. He never really did fit that category. Not to mention a championship level team or a World Series caliber team does not have Jeff McNeil playing center field. So again, Jeff's been a great Met. He's had his ups and downs, but someone is going to have to be somewhat of collateral damage to fix whatever needs fixing for this team to move forward. And there are pieces on this team that I see as either dead weight or youth blockers, or, I see them as pieces that could turn into this roster being more flexible. Andrew, if that makes sense, I don't know. It's the fact of someone has to move. And then also the fact that they need to improve other areas in this roster. And it's going to come with the collateral damage of one of these young guys going. Or Jeff McNeil.
Yeah, and again, we keep just saying it's just something. And again, you could say, "Oh, the young kids will go," and again, that's just those. But the McNeil thing, it's like, okay, if he's still here, then trade Jet Williams. Then trade again. If you're keeping McNeil because you can't trade anyone in the locker room, everybody's buddy. Again, this friggin' roster is like, oh, just because we lost JD Martinez and Jose Iglesias, we can't win a ball game. We got everybody saying. Nobody likes each other. Nobody wants to have fun. And if you trade Jeff McNeil, we can't bring back Starling Marte. It's like, because, we got to bring these back for the culture. Like, something needs to change. And if it's a second base, and McNeil has brought his, similar to Beatty, McNeil's brought his value back up after a horrible year last year. Same WRC plus as Beatty, I think, 111. So, he's back to being an above average. Get him out of here. And in both of them, just get them both out of here, sell high, and just move forward. If you're going with the youth movement, okay, these guys are going into arbitration. You're running out, they're not free anymore. They're going to start making big boy money. Get them out of here. And in McNeil's case, again, you need to change something. And if it's getting rid of McNeil, letting Alonso walk, then there's nothing really else you can do. Nimmo, you can cry about Nimmo all you want. You ain't got control of that. You're not trading Soto. You're not trading Lindor. You're not trading Alvarez. Okay, so that's most of your everyday life. Tyrone Taylor ain't gonna change. Tyrone Taylor is not shocking the system. Who else is gonna change something? And if you're telling me get out of the McNeil money, and maybe we can use that money somewhere else, and if that's adding another reliever in the back end of the bullpen, maybe another, attach it. Maybe if you want one of these free agent pitchers to clear up some more money, and say, hey. Now we can give the extra $10 million because obviously we get McNeil or however long, because you're going to have to probably eat a little bit of the McNeil money. You just need to change something. And if you run this back, and again, like you said, and I swear it's getting more every report. And again, it's November 20th. We've only had one big trade and one big offseason free agent signing. Got a whole offseason look out. But if their plan is literally just running it back with the same group, with different coaches, again, you just can't do that. There has to be something drastically to this team. And even if trading Beatty, Mauricio, do they really matter in the grand scheme of things? This is your back half of your lineup. This is your 6, 7, and 8 hitters. If that's the biggest culture shock you need to your team, it's a 2. Brett was at best a 3-WAR player. If Vientos value offensively, so this is. It's just infuriating because, again, we're still doing the same things over and over again, and we're talking about the same group. And I'm just tired of talking about And like I have a feeling, and this is how again the Dodgers seem to have that problem too. It's all these young players that they can't play because they at least they have stars in the position where they hoard. The prospects are like 90 years old in AAA. But we're gonna have the same conversations if McNeil or let's say Beatty is playing second base next year, and he's having again a 115 to 120 WRC plus, and he's playing good defense. Okay, then what's Jet Williams doing? What's Jacob Reimer doing? Like we're gonna have the same conversation. So declutter this roster. Reset the clock and just move on. And the problem is we'll probably end up, even if we don't trade them, there's a good chance in mid-May, 2 of these 3 guys are getting DFA because, like we said, they're out of minor league options. So you're losing them for nothing anyway because they're out of the I guarantee if Mark Vientos is still here, I will put this and he sucks going the first 2 months. He will be DFA'd for nothing. So that's my point. Acuna and even Acuna, we've seen some people, again, some idiots being like, well, DFA Acuna now. He's free. Let him go into the season. But he's a DFA candidate, and you're losing him for nothing. So if anyone wants him, get something for them without having the risk of if they don't bounce back with this new coaching and they stay who they are, which is below league average players and no value players, you're going to lose them for nothing anyway. Make the decision, pick one, and move on because I'm tired of talking about these 3 best friends that everyone loves. They all love each other. Well, I'm tired of loving you. I need to love one of you, and the other 2 need to hit the road.
I'm tired of loving you.
But also, Carson, we don't even need to move McNeil's contract at all because Steve Cohen sold the gold toilet for, was it $12 million or something like that? So, I mean, that kind of cancels out the McNeil money right there. So we could just keep him. I mean, we just we're good.
Why not?
It's a wash.
Why not? I mean, hey, listen, if that's the motivation there, I think that's a championship caliber type of position there. But I mean, here's the thing: any money that they could clear up. Any money that they could clear up. Sorry, there's something hilarious in the chat right there. Any money that could possibly clear up helps this team from any sort of angle because of the bullpen that you have to fill in, because of the starting pitching that you need to retool. It needs to be revamped because if anybody saw how the Mets starting pitching did after those first 2 months, they need to make changes. They really do. And again, they are not in a position right now where they are financially so stuck. They are stuck right now in a roster crunch situation in that type of aspect. And the only way that can happen and they can clear that up while also clearing money and also improving the team or retaining whoever they want, they are going to have to move pieces such as Jeff McNeil or Kodai Senga, and also consider somebody else in that infield to move on from as well to deepen the bench, make the team deeper. Who will that be? I don't know who that will be. We'll see what ends up happening. But as for Kodai Senga, that was talked about, and it has been talked about today. John Heyman brought it up today as well, saying that the Mets are actively talking about trades for him, and he is expected to be moved. So if he gets moved during this stream, maybe he will be. If he gets moved in the next few weeks, we will obviously talk about it. Obviously, Andrew and I did that video. We talked about, that we expected Kodai Senga to be on the move. And for those who are opposed to that, the only reason as to why I think that there's some hesitation with this would be the fact that when he's healthy, he looks like a frontline piece. And everyone says, well, we don't need to subtract from this rotation. We need to add. However, does an ace need an extra day to pitch? Does an ace need to be optioned down to AAA? Does an ace hurt himself on simple PFPs? Does an ace need all of these accommodations? Can't handle the heat in Florida during late September. It's just a bad situation. That's it. It's a rough situation. And I saw a lot of things coming out about, the Mets know that he could be an ace, but is he ever going to be on the mound to do it? I don't think so. I don't think we can trust him to do so. An ace is someone who can be not only good on the mound, but dependable. He's not dependable. And Andrew, we've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, but it's like, I don't even care what they get back for him. To be honest, I just want that money gone. And it seems like he has value as to where the team that gets him will take the majority of the contract. So the Mets are not going to be on the hook for that much. But it's like, I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing here? It's like, okay, we know he can be good. Well, he hasn't been able to show it for like, I don't know, 2 calendar years now. Or he's shown it in spurts. That's not an ace. That's not a frontline starter. And if he has the upside to do so, and that's definitely what teams are looking at, that's fine, but it comes with a lot of baggage. You can't rely on Senga in the playoffs. You can't rely on him in the regular season. And they're going to have to at least explore trades, and I really do want them to move on, because I'm not dealing with this for another guaranteed 2 years. Because if he gets hurt again in spring training, which we've seen plenty of Mets starting pitchers every single year in spring training get hurt, I mean, what's going to happen then? You're going to be stuck with him for 2 more years. He had a decent enough year. He has a good enough upside, maybe a few more years left. Move on. It's a movable contract. Frank, we've talked about Kodai Senga a lot, obviously. The concerns of his future, his health, a lot. Do you think, again, I don't want to say if you would be willing to trade him, because I think that you would. But like, is there anything that you would say would hold you back from trading Kodai Senga in this current moment with all the current context and the baggage and everything? Is there anything saying, well, hold on to this one. Hold on to this one right now.
He's definitely a tough one because of the way his career started. I mean, he had a great rookie year, but he's someone that you're talking about like, oh, it's only year 4 for Senga. And normally when you say that with a player, you're like, oh, well, he's still like early 20s, maybe mid 20s. But because of all the time he spent in Japan, he's 32. So if you're talking about injury concerns,
going into 33, I think, right?
Yeah, going into 33.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about injury concerns and the player's turning 33, it's something that doesn't get better usually. So I think it's something that, if you get an injury, like you're like, oh, okay, that happens. And you get 2, then you get 3, and then all of a sudden it's not just, oh, an accident, oh, unlucky or this or that. Like, no, you're just injury prone. Like, it just feels like any little movement and you're down for the count. And we're not talking about like, oh, gone for a week. No, we're talking about gone for months. We're talking about missing a whole season. Like, we're talking about things like that. And even when you are on the mound, though, you forgot to mention the mechanics. The mechanics need to be in order. Remember that? I mean, when in the playoffs, when he was just healthy to pitch, right? But his mechanics weren't all there, so he wasn't effective. So it's like, it's one thing to get on the field, but can you also be your best self when you're out there? So I think it's something that like it definitely causes a lot of like kind of worry, where you definitely have to be like some hesitation when you're trying to commit to what he could do. And I wonder who would take this on. I feel like you would need a team that already has like they're either desperate for an ace, like, oh, we get an ace at like not an ace price, or you have a team that already has a very strong rotation, just looking at him as like a back half end of the rotation piece and looking at those expectations, because the Mets, they had other injuries with this rotation, as we talked about. Frankie Montas, who got DFA'd this week. Sean Manaea went down. We saw McGill have his thing going on, and obviously Griffin Canning went down. I mean, they just had so many things going into the rotation that it felt like they didn't really get to do the full, true, traditional 6-man rotation to see how that would help. But it just feels like with some of the injuries that he's had, the past 2, well, the one against the Braves and then the one covering first base this past season, no matter if you pitch every 5 days, every 6 days, every 7 days, I feel like these injuries still kind of happen because these were just, like you said, traditional baseball plays, just like very normal movements, and like that, and it's ruining you. Like it's just very strange. I mean, who else just calf goes out on a pop-up, I mean, like it's just very weird stuff that you see with these injuries from Senga. So I think for me, I wonder what teams would even be willing to offer considering how much he struggled. And then even like you mentioned, okay, so he had the injury, he came back, he had to be sent to the minors. I mean, well, what was that? So again, it's like you have injury concerns, but then there's also some performance concerns. Ceiling is super high, but it's like, how often does he actually reach that ceiling? Far too often, he's nowhere near it. So
he jumps for the ceiling, he'll get hurt.
He could get hurt going for it all. So I think that you have to listen for sure. I mean, you have to shop, and if something comes along that looks really good, I mean, go for it. There's a lot of interesting names that are available on the trade market. Potentially, there are people being talked about. We have one that we're going to get into a little bit later on. So if he needs to be part of that to get those deals done, I would much rather take those guys that I know could make 30 starts. And I use them all the time. I'm going to use them every year. I'd rather have Freddie Peralta. Like, at least I know what I'm getting. I know I'm getting 30 starts. I'm getting a solid pitcher. He may not have the upside. He may not give me ERA under 2 for a couple months. But listen, if I can get through the whole year, and it's like, what can you do for me when it's all said and done? It's like, if I'm trying to be a playoff team, who is there for me when it's go time and can be effective for me? If Senga can't be there when I need him there, then why even be here in the first place? Just to get through the regular season? Like, I mean, that's not worth what we're paying him for. That's more of like a Griffin Cannon. That's more of like a depth guy who just eats the innings to get you through. Like, just what kind of role are we actually expecting him to have on a true contender?
Yeah. I mean, I will bring this up, obviously, because I don't know if it goes into much relation here, but it probably doesn't. But Andrew, I'll flick it over to you because we were obviously recording a video that will be going out later this week. When this trade happened, the Grayson Rodriguez deal that had the swap for Taylor Ward, obviously. I don't know if you can really base it off of this because, again, he's in pre-arb, but he also has had a monstrous amount of injury issues as well. I don't know if there's like a rental player out there that maybe the Mets probably could get in return for Senga, like a rental reliever or a rental, a rental center fielder that can keep the seat warm for Benj if they want that. Like, if that's like what you're going for, like a 1-for-1 player swap, however, the Mets would probably have to cover it. I see the light bulb just went off for you. So, I mean, if you model it after, it's not really the same thing, but like we're just going off of what we've seen over the last 48 hours, which we didn't really expect Rodriguez to go for Ward. Nobody really expected that. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know.
I mean, there's, again, that we obviously I did the video and there was there was a reliever 1-for-1 trade potential, but
yeah,
if we're just talking strictly, flipping money for money, I mean, and how many times have we said on the show, he's a below market. Like, I don't even think you need to take money on this because, again, he's a below market.
You don't.
Even if he's a 4, he's getting paid less than Montas was. Like, and what the market is, he's getting. You probably don't even need to touch a dime.
Less yearly than Taiwan Walker, people.
Less
yearly than him.
So
yeah.
So, and what you said is, why that light bulb went off, because then this would be one very cynical for me as well, and it gets the Mets the guy that we've been talking about for years.
Yeah.
I just said is that, and the money is equal. Get ready to learn Southside, buddy. Lou Bob for Senga 1-for-1. Who says no? I knew Frank was going to get that reaction. But again, the money's equal. One makes 30, one makes.
Keep trying to get this guy. He's not coming.
But get his ass out of here. And in worst case,
keep everyone else, right?
What? But again, when you said that's the first. Because that's the first thing when you said, "Oh, match the money." I'm like, that makes when the White Sox.
I would have said Taylor Ward would have been the right, move right there.
But that's the point. Like, if you want, and it's even for the Mets, it's a 1-year deal. Worst case, you just not tender him. You just decline the option. Again, you cut him if he's Jose Siri 2.0. You just cut him. Boom. But again, like there are
true.
ways you could do it, and like again with the market value, and the Orioles were before. Obviously, I've said the Orioles before they decided to trade 5 years of team control of Grayson, or 4 years of team control for Grayson Rodriguez for a rental. Michael Elias, again, the greatest executive, and yeah, that was the guy to really control that young core. Besides the point, I said they need pitching to begin with. Now they definitely need it, and now they have a glut of outfielders. So and they don't have a center fielder. That's the problem. Like if you're just trying to make a trade, they don't have a center fielder.
Yeah, because they traded their center
old.
fielder to us, Cedric Mullins. We already have it.
Well, no, I'm talking
Thanks.
about young. That dude. That's a little person. I'm talking about like.
Should we just re-sign Cedric Mullins and just move on? Like.
I mean, he needed the year to just get used to playing in New York. But like, there's a world where maybe it's like Dylan Beavers, or again we talk about Kurt. Like, there is a world that you could maybe draw up something. The Orioles make sense. We saw San Diego. Preller loves making trades, and like, again, they have a glut of relievers. Like there's a bunch of teams, especially everyone needs pitching. And again, below market value. And I even said in the video, I'm not going to be shocked if Senga's good. It's not the point of he's a good pitcher. Like, there's too much and there's too much dumb baggage that like I need some stability in this rotation. Like I have a bunch of threes. I have that.
Too much.
I need a guy that I can depend on.
Mets. It's too much Metsing.
Yeah.
Basically. That's basically it. Like we're trying to get away from that.
Oh, my foot hurt. This dude, this guy's he's been in the big leagues 3 times. I don't think he's ever been comfortable. Oh, I'm not comfortable. Oh, mentally not. What do you want to freaking pitch on a cloud? Like, get over yourself. Like, and even if he goes back to that ace, what everyone wants to say, the ace material, right? An ace, does he come out the game crying about, well, I didn't wake up on the right side of the bed today, so I need an extra day. No, he says, I slept on a bed of nails, give me the ball, and get the hell out the way. That is not Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga is like, there's a definition of dog and chihuahua. That dude's smaller than a chihuahua, and I've had enough of them. So again, he's going to be good wherever he goes. Good, have fun. Enjoy Chicago. Enjoy Baltimore. Enjoy San Diego. And if you want to add a starter, you got to trade a starter. He's the easiest one to get rid of.
Yeah, it's said very well by Matt here in the chat, saying the reward is not worth the risk for Senga. It isn't. I mean, it just isn't for a guy who's supposed to pitch every 5 days, but probably every 6 days, considering what he needs, because he still is not adjusted to that. What happened from him pitching in Japan once a week. It's like, oh God. I mean, to be honest, if we were talking about a 1-for-1 here, I wish that this team was in deep shit and didn't just go over to the World Series. But I would be all in to get that last year Dalton Varsho's contract. I would be.
Sure.
However, we don't live in that reality. But again, it's like I don't know where it looks in that way, and people are probably going to say, people are probably going to be underwhelmed with some sort of return for Kodai Senga. However, there is more to it than just him statistically. It's more about the availability, the dependability. You can't rely on him. You can't. And whether he's, good or not, or good when he's healthy or not, which is not often, it's not worth it. Even with that $15 million that is under market value, it's not worth it at all. And I think we all need to come to the agreement of, well, maybe he is worth just a reliever at this current moment. It's possible. So I don't know. I don't know how they approach this, but I would try to get a deal done. I would. Again, we have talked about the injuries with pitchers all the time. They've gotten banged up. We've had plenty of hurdles to go over. But again, I mean, it's not similar to this situation. But again, if Jacob deGrom left and they didn't retain him because he couldn't stay healthy and they didn't think it was a good long-term investment, what makes you think that Senga has an even better argument in that situation? Again, and this is the same thing. This is the same thing we're going over. It's like, oh, when he's healthy, he's great. When is he healthy? Never. And even when he is healthy, like we said, like I've been looking back at a lot of things with Kodai Senga, not just some of the prominent things, but there was a time, I don't know if you were at this game, Andrew, during 2023, there was a game in Kansas City where Kodai Senga took at least, 15 minutes of the groundswork's time because the mound was not leveled properly. And listen, you can get really hurt from coming off the mound, obviously, but it's just stuff, those little details like that it's like, okay, what else do you need to succeed? And he needs a lot, apparently. And even when he gets that, which he has gotten for 3 years, what has he reciprocated for us? And it's not like we were not seeing this coming. Even with the non-freak injuries, that shoulder injury that he had that took him out for months. There's so many situations that this is a scary road to go down if you keep him for those next 2 control years that you have over him. He also has a Tommy John clause in his contract. He had concerns about his physical before he even signed with us. And Epler did it anyway because he don't give no fucks. But again, it's a tradable contract. It's a shitty situation to be in if you are a contender that can't rely on him, and also for a rotation that needs to clean things out. And again, I said this last week. If it's not Senga, who else? David Peterson? On his last year of control? Do you shop around Clay Holmes, which I don't think they're going to do? Try to move Manaya's contract. Good luck. There's like that. Who are we moving? Who are we moving here? We're going to shop around McGill, the big prize known as Tyler McGill.
I mean,
you got to move someone. Like... I don't know.
It's not okay. And
again, there's pieces that are like, okay, move on from this. You have to move on in order for this team to move forward. Back to you, Andrew.
And even it's just the simple. Everyone's like, "Oh, go get an ace. Go get." Okay, so let's do some simple. I know, and I have this problem living down here. I know common sense down here is very bad. So we're gonna do this at the most educational level. There are 5 major league rotation spots. Kodai Senga, you don't get a 6th. Nolan McLean, there's 1, ladies and gentlemen. As of right now, David Peterson, there's 2. Clay Holmes, there's 3. 4 would be, like you said, Sean Manaea, there's 4. And then there's Kodai, even though he's mad because there's no 6 of them. So if you want to go add externally and add the ace, right? It's simple math. Somebody's got to go. And yes,
no
this is always the line. You never want to trade pitch. You can never have enough pitch.
Tong, Scott.
That's what. And you didn't even say the kid. Besides McLean.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because again,
like,
we expect
10-man rotation. I guess. But again, we're going to have a 56-man roster like they do in the NFL. I guess.
Well, I mean, Senga would love that. Have a 10-man rotation. Senga would love that. I can only pitch once every 2 weeks. I think Senga might actually get excited to not pitch. That'd be great. Now I'm pitching, instead of once every 5 days like a normal pitcher. But again, it's just somebody's got to go. And like I said, if it's not Senga, who again is getting interest because of market value, then it has to be Peterson. Like I said, nobody touched Manaea. I don't want to. Like Clay Holmes would be the one I try to keep. But even again, no one should be off limits. You won 83 games and you did nothing. There's no like, well, it'd be nice. I mean, it'd be nice, but if somebody's like, hey, I want to give you, 2 top 5 prospects for Clay Holmes, who probably is opting out after this season because he has the opt out, I'm listening. And it's 2 proven prospects, 2 really good prospects. I'm listening. But again, I don't think they see it that way. I think they just want to move maybe Senga. They're going to believe in David Peterson and let him walk for a draft pick after the season. And then they're banking on the kids and the next group of Santucci's and Weddingers and, guys like that.
If they give a qualifying offer to David Peterson, I'm going to lose it. He's taking it.
Well, I mean, Zach Gallen got it. He said no. I mean, there's going to be a value. He's going to get qualified. Like, there is a really high possibility if he has another half decent season, he's getting qualified after the season. So, get ready to either one more year of David Peterson and freaking
and again, it's like
they get a draft pick.
The QO is right now $22 million. That's what Manaea is getting paid, and like David Pearson, a left-hander who gets through a whole season, you get good money. Like you'd be surprised, with your pitcher, you actually get paid well. So like Andrew said, it's not the craziest thing in the world. He could say no if he has a good season. He'll say no. So that's ultimately what it comes down to. If he has a bad season,
to be honest, I think he would probably have to pitch like 190 innings, which we know he's not capable.
Well, I mean, look what happened with Sevy. I mean, the qualifying offer was less back then, but like he turned it down, and we saw how that went. So we know Stearns loves to throw out qualifying offers. He got more years though,
so we'll see. I don't know.
Okay, let's play this game again. This is just a hypothetical. Ranger Suarez is about to get probably 6 years. How much better is Ranger Suarez compared to David Peterson? I'm not saying there isn't a difference. There's a small difference, but like in what we're like, the careers are similar.
There's a smaller,
they're not
there's a smaller gap than people think. There's a smaller gap. Than
exactly.
People think. Yeah.
So the fact that if David Peterson has another sub 370 ERA season, 160 to 170 innings, like if Ranger Suarez is about to get 6 years, probably 150 there's a world where David Peterson can get that if he has another good year. So like that qualifying offer, and again, that's next year's conversation. We got to finish it. Well, hell, we don't have baseball after this year, so we really don't have to worry about that because we got a lockout. But let's just worry about, again, I almost said something that would have got us thrown on the internet. Kodai Senga, and then, we'll worry about everybody else later. So I call myself. You happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Very bad.
There was some stuff about Kyle Schwarber, like we said, as well in that Passan report. We've already gone for over an hour. But again, I think that the interest in Kyle Schwarber, it's obviously going to be there. If it's at $30 million a year, I don't know if the Mets are going to be willing to drive up to that price. However, again, those types of trades, McNeil, Senga, moving those types of pieces, that would help you put you into that situation of, let's say, okay, this is very, very easy fetched here. It's a loose example, but okay, $30 million a year, right? $30 million a year. Senga and McNeil, that money off the books, that's $27 million a year. So basically, you just replaced Kyle Schwarber, a prolific power hitter, one of the greatest, one of the best power hitters of this generation, destined for the 500 home run club. You just replaced him. You just replaced McNeil and Senga with Kyle Schwarber. And then that probably just opens you up. Maybe I could still keep Alonso, but I don't know if they're going to think that way because of the motivation for the run prevention. Giving $30 million a year to a non-run prevention player in Kyle Schwarber, because even though he can play left field, he's not great there. We know he's not. He's a hitter. He's a hitter. It just doesn't seem like it's something the Mets would fully pursue. I think that they'll be interested in it. I think it'll be to the level of what they were looking at with like JD Martinez, where it's like, we'll wait for the price to come down. And if we get that right price, maybe we'll go for it. But I think Schwarber's going to sign pretty quickly. And I don't think that the Mets are going to be involved with that. I'm not saying that they need to keep Alonso over Schwarber, because I believe Schwarber's a better hitter than Alonso. I think Alonso is a better player than Schwarber, but not by much. Again, hitter and player are two different things. However, if I have an opportunity to get Kyle Schwarber, I definitely will get Kyle Schwarber. But if it's going to be at a certain price, I just don't see them doing it. I probably would overpay for Kyle Schwarber because he's freaking Kyle Schwarber. And I would love to have him behind Juan Soto. And to be honest, with the big stage that he plays on, I'm going to tell you right now, they need to look at this. Again, he's been a big stage player forever. And I know he wasn't that good in this recent postseason, and now he's just terrible. But if you're giving me an option of a big bat to protect Soto, and you're saying, okay, Alonso or Schwarber at the same price, like let's say it's 3 years, $90 million for either Alonso or Schwarber. There is a lot that indicates me to lean a little bit more towards Schwarber than Alonso. And then that's not me trying to get clicks here. That's not me trying to bait everyone. That's the point of, well, I know Schwarber doesn't have that defensive value, and he'll probably DH. Or you also have Pete Alonso, who's going to play first base in 2026, may play more DH too, but he's going to be in the first base conversation, and you know it's a liability. And it's been a liability, and it's one of the main reasons as to why Kodai Senga is probably in trade talks right now. Blame Pete Alonso for that. Yeah. Did that for Andrew, just for his enjoyment. Anyways, again, Schwarber, great hitter. How long does it last? We don't know. But if he's willing to sign for like 3 years, I'd pursue it. I would pursue it. But again, other pieces would have to be moved in order to engage with that. Because again, the way that I see this right now is, if the mindset right now is to retain Alonso and Diaz and improve this team, you have to offload Senga and McNeil. Just simply speaking. Maybe there's somebody else that they offload. But simply speaking, you have to offload them just for those improvements and the room for the improvements to happen. And I know that we have more money than God. However, there is a certain sustainable aspect here where it's like, you can't move yourself up to a $400 million payroll and still have so many holes on a roster, because that's what they did last year. They did that last year. And not to mention, we got some reports of the Mets being in the red again. So maybe there isn't much of a push. Like we were talking about how they were first up in attendance and everything, that maybe that had their mindset to push. Maybe they have to shave some payroll here. And it looks like that's what they're possibly pursuing to do. So again, like we said, if you want to make those improvements and bring back Alonso and Diaz, let's say that is the blueprint, you're going to have to shave off some money in order for this team to be a little bit more balanced. Andrew, what do you think about that? Schwarber, payroll, paying Schwarber, what's it called? Extending Jeff McNeil for 8 more years. What do you think?
Oh boy, and putting a suggestion of who would I rather have, Pete Alonso or Kyle Schwarber, you're just trying to start a fight today, and you definitely wanted to get this chat really
I'm going where the reports go.
And you want Frank yelling at the chat again because we got to bring Pete Alonso back up, of course. Again, like this, again, if I'm picking one, and this is the problem that I have, and like I've talked to you about this off, like. Yes, it's like, oh, you signed Kyle Schwarber or whatever. Cool. This is the problem. Okay, you signed Kyle Schwarber to replace Pete Alonso. Fine. You are becoming so left-handed. Like,
yeah,
again, we know how I feel about Pete Alonso. We understand that, it's well documented. He shot my dog. Like, we know. But my problem is, okay, he's right-handed. He's the only power right-handed bat available. Like, unless you're trying, and like, okay,
unless you consider Suarez in that conversation.
And again, that was a video that we thought of, like again, I should be, again, I'd rather, if you're telling me to spend $30 million on Pete Alonso, or maybe signing a guy like Gino.
$30 million that's already spent
and
that'll come off the books is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, let's say Senga and McNeil are both traded,
and McNeil are gone.
That video, yeah.
Like, it's just a weird spot again because, like, okay, you signed Schwarber, cool. Then, like, okay, then who's the right-handed power? Like, is Mark Vientos going to be back to being in a prominent spot to have to hit? Because there's no other right-handed bats. That's like the problem. Like, fine. Like, shut up. Shut up. No. Like, the problem is, as much as, like, I love Kyle Schwarber and I want Kyle Schwarber, I would take Kyle Schwarber over Pete Alonso every day of the week and twice on Sunday and twice on, double chicken finger Tuesday. Like, I'm taking Schwarber, and the leadership, and the difference is, and everywhere Kyle Schwarber's gone, there have been massive locker room, like, this is a locker room leader. And what has been the big thing of all the glue guys? Maybe that is something that is more valuable to this clubhouse. Because every
he's from
team
Philly.
we see,
How could we do that?
Loves Kyle Schwarber. Okay, shut up. I hate you so much sometimes. But like, again, like, if it's the leadership quality and what this locker room needs, like, he hits that. Like, it could be in a locker room. There's a lot of positives with Kyle Schwarber, and again, especially if we're looking at strictly just the DH, because we're not putting him. The Red Sox don't put him in first base. Like, I wouldn't be doing that. Like, and he's a DH. He was a left fielder. He's a play catcher. He was valuable there, and he's still very good in the video game. But my point is, okay, if you're telling me, who am I paying $30 million to? If I had another right-handed bat, I would say Schwarber 100%. But the problem is, again, you kind of have to bring Pete back just for the lineup you got, because you got Nimmo still here. You're gonna have Nimmo. Soto's gonna be here. You have, like, Lindor as a shortstop and switch hitter, but like, he's gonna majority hit his ABs left-handed. So that's kind of the problem. It's like, as much as I would prefer Schwarber, this team needs a right-handed bat. You can't have 7 lefties in your lineup and Alvarez and then, God forbid, Mark Vientos being your best 2 right-handed bats. That's a problem. So if in any other circumstances, I'm clearing Schwarber and it's not even close. But in this particular circumstance, Alonso fits better of what they need. And as much as, again, I want if you clear it up and you can do both. You have the ability to sign both if you wanted to. But it's not realistic. Like, again, it's probably not realistic. So if you have to pick one for the 2026 circumstance, it has to be Alonso. But again, you're paying the worst play, the worst of 2 good players. But again, I think Schwarber would provide more value, not just on the field and off the field, because again, we saw what happened in the clubhouse. There is some value to that, as well as 55 homers and a bajillion RBIs. But it's just, again, you can't get a lefty in this lineup. Like, it's just so left-handed. And we've already seen what the Mets have done in the past against left-handed pitching. And then, like, you thought it was bad before when they were already just outright bad against lefties. Now you're going to have, and I know Schwarber has gotten a lot better against left. I think he led major leagues in homers against left-handed pitching. I think I saw that stat on MLB Network. Like,
you suck it.
Even still, like, again, it's the general, the normal general baseball thought. Like, this team is so left-handed. Like, as much as I want it, it kind of has to be Alonso. But again, I would prefer Schwarber.
But what you're saying is we need to get rid of a lefty bat to bring in this lefty bat.
See you later,
just sign Gino and
so
just sign Gino and what's it called? Schwarber.
I mean,
there's about 105 nukes right there.
The future at third base is left-handed hitter.
No,
well, that's why he's signing Eugenio.
I'm putting Gino
there you go
first, because the defensive. Yeah, I'm putting Gino at first more than third.
Oh,
so
okay.
That would be. He's not good defensively
tall
either.
Enough to be a first baseman.
I think he's 6'3". I can get you the exact Gino. I think he's 6'3".
He's 6'3". No, he's not.
Hold up.
He's 6'3".
You talk, I'll find it.
He's 5'11". What the?
Well, put some cleats
it's like
on.
putting Luis Guillorme at first base.
Well, so you just, add a few inches occasionally. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh my god.
Well, when you have Jet at second, it'll be okay. They'll be like level with each other.
Exactly. You got like a bunch of man. Yeah. I mean, we put Acuna at third. I mean, are we going that crazy?
Yeah, when you have Jet and Acuna stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. Yeah.
Then you have Ellie De La Cruz.
And then there's Ellie there.
Then you. That is so funny. It's not even funny how funny that is. Oh my god. Anyways, now Speaking of pitching, I do want to get into some pitching now.
Well, can I just say I have one Schwarber point. That's it, real quick.
Sure.
So we talk about like the Mets and their payroll situations, and we talk about Schwarber being a locker room leader in Philadelphia. You look at what the Phillies have on their payroll right now; it's actually higher than the Mets at this current moment. So for them to actually bring back Schwarber, we're talking about this $30 million thing. Like it's gonna be a lot for them.
Yeah.
And right now, Realmuto's a free agent, so gonna need someone to catch. And they weren't great either last season. So I mean, he's an interesting market for sure. I know the Phillies want to bring him back, but we're talking about what he could get paid to throw Boston in the mix. Like he's gonna be an interesting player.
You want to trade for Castellanos? There's your right-handed bat.
Frank, if you want the $30 million, they're willing to trade Castellanos, and they're going to trade Bone. Boom, there's $30 million right there. There's Schwarber. Now you got two holes, but they don't want to talk about that. They'll just re-sign Harrison Bader and probably trade for Dalton Rushing, knowing my luck.
Oh yeah. There's your right-handed bat.
Or just throw $200 million at Alex Bregman, probably. I'm gonna guess.
Bregman, yeah, most likely.
It'd be in a potential like Sean Murphy sweepstakes. You have Baldwin catch for Atlanta. I mean, in division would be kind of crazy, but they got rid of Muto in division in the first place. So I don't know, just a thought.
But that was also the dumb Marlins. I mean, that doesn't really count.
The Marlins do weird things, but
the Marlins.
I'm telling you, Dalton
Rushing farm system.
I'm already like terrified. So.
Yeah. We'll see.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's get to the pitchers, I guess.
On the pitching side now, Frank, you actually put here in the messages here that the Mets were not in on this certain pitcher.
According to the great Andy Martino.
GM meetings, according to Martino, but there was a report earlier this week that the Mets are considered suitors for him, and to be honest, with the Mets' need for pitching, we still can talk about it as a possible option. And it is one of the top options on the free agent market. There's some advantages to it. There's also some defects that we'll probably have to bring up. But Framber Valdez is a free agent. Left-handed pitcher, has had some success. Recently has been one of the best left-handers in all of baseball. Recently, been great with the Astros for many, many years. And there was a report about the Mets being one of the suitors for him, but obviously them needing pitching help. Now, Framber Valdez, you kind of look at his career rundown. Typically, he's, a 3.5 earned run average pitcher. Doesn't strike out in a conglomerate of guys, but he's known for throwing strikes, contact managing fairly well, 97th percentile in ground ball rate last year, one of the highest among starters. Gets a lot of chases with his secondary stuff, including that curveball from the left side, which is a high spin curveball, which has some of the highest RPMs out of almost any left-hander. Not to mention, gets lots of swings and misses. He's mainly a 3-pitch guy, sinker, curveball, splitter. Also has a little bit of a hard slider there that some people would say is a cutter from a certain arm angle. And he also has a fastball. Last year, the one thing that obviously sticks out here is the 192 innings that he pitched, not to mention 4 consecutive seasons of him pitching 175 plus innings with 150 plus strikeouts, less than a 1.25 walks hits innings pitched, which is whip, and less than 0.9 home runs per 9. So he knows how to suppress contact, obviously. Doesn't give up as many base runners. Makes quick outs as well. Gets ahead earlier in the count. We've seen this guy shred through the Mets lineup many, many times before in any certain predicament. Framber Valdez obviously is going to be on the market, seen as a frontline starter. He's not a number 1, but he would be a really good number 2, maybe a good number 3 on a World Series contender. However, he was given the qualifying offer. He rejected it. He's going into free agency with a draft pick compensation attached to him. Obviously, 32 years old. He's probably looking for the last contract of his career. So, again, this is a possible option. that the Mets can explore here. I don't know if he would be number one on my list, but if you tell me that one of the pitching additions the Mets make is Framber Valdez, I wouldn't be completely opposed to it because I do think he is a really good pitcher and he gives you volume, goes deep into games, and you could possibly see him contend for, 200 innings if you need him to do it. However, there are some other baggage pieces that we will get into, and some people are actually saying it in the chat as well. Andrew, I'll go to you. There's a few pieces, obviously, on this free agent market, whether they're pitchers or position players, that got the qualifying offer that we would be probably willing to give up a draft pick for. Obviously, the Mets gave up a draft pick for Juan Soto because, it's Juan Soto. You sign Juan Soto. Framber Valdez, on the other hand, I don't know if he's in that category, but he at least can be considered, I guess, because, again, he is a really good starting pitcher. He's not a one, though. He's not an ace. So, what are your thoughts on that? Is the pursuit here that you could potentially have for Framber Valdez, is it high? Is it medium? Is it low because of the things that have been mentioned in the chat? What are your thoughts here?
It's an interesting one. Obviously, if you take that last, Yankee start, the Yankee start out, or what happened in that Yankee start, I think a lot of people would easily be like, this makes sense. Because, again, like we talk about with starting pitchers, that there's no dependability. And, again, it's pitchers. They obviously any type. But he kind of has the lesser because he doesn't throw hard. But he's consistent. He could probably pencil in at least 175 innings. In a world of we need innings, he's perfect for that. And in a world that, and there's a world where you can't get the top trade guys. If it's Freddie Peralta, which, there's been hit or miss of, now with Woodruff accepting the qualifying over, now it's more likely. You got reporter wars is what's always fun this time of year. Obviously, we've got a dream about a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner. Like, I think Boston's got their sights on Joe Ryan. So, again, even if those guys are off the board, and let's say the guys that you want to get traded aren't moved, then you kind of have to pivot to the free agent market. And he's not my number one free agent, especially the pitchers that did get qualifying offer. He'd probably be number two. But I'd prefer him over Ranger Suarez, like we've talked about. I think he's got a lot. And I'm just talking strictly on the baseball. Well, when the matter, obviously, it did happen on the baseball field, but on the field, he's dependable in what you need his inning. And in a perfect world, he's your 3-starter, McLean's your 2, and then you go get an ace. Like a dream offseason is, okay, you trade for a 1 if it's Freddie Peralta, Skubal, pick your guy. You have Nolan McLean be that cheap ace. And then you sign Framber to be that crisp, I'm going to bring back the memory rotation. He becomes your Chris Bassett. That's a hell of a rotation. Yeah. Like, there you go. That's a playoff rotation. You got Framber pitching game 3 of a playoff series. We've seen Framber in the postseason. I'm okay starting Framber Valdez in the postseason start. But,
yeah,
again, you risk that he's probably getting a 6-year deal. And you're giving up a draft pick for not an ace. Like, he's a 2. And he's probably a 2, a low 2, high 3 in reality of what he is. Again, obviously him not throwing that hard. He's a contact manager. And again, the other problem is he's always in the 97th or 95th or higher percentile ground ball rate. If you don't have a good defensive infield, what's the point of bringing in Framber Valdez? Like, if you're going to continue to put Mark Vientos at third base and, Pete Alonso's playing first, like, this isn't a good idea because this is a guy that gets a lot of ground balls and you got not a good defensive infield. If you improve the infield defense, he makes a lot more sense. So, and that's just talking strictly on the baseball field. Yes, the altercation had happened. It's not a good look, but I'm not going to say that, pitchers are, head cases at times. And I'm not going to say that I've done it, but, when you're pitching and you make a mistake, you shouldn't cross up your catcher. That's not good. But, sometimes you drill your catcher in the head, and if he's looking for a curveball, you throw a fastball, you hit him in the head. I mean, it happens. I mean, sometimes it happens. Yeah. You hang a slider, you just get pissed off. I mean, it happens. I mean, and everyone's saying, trust me, if you play baseball, you've had those moments. Maybe you're not pitching, but
Yeah, but professionals
I
shouldn't be doing that.
Again, you hang a slider.
Back in my day in high school, but yeah, professionals.
The pitch com got hacked.
I'm not saying I did. I'm just saying in this theoretical, position. But again, it's not a good look. I mean, and the fact that, that they're trying to hide it, and it's like, it's not a good look. But I'm not going to say, but I sort of kind of like it. There's a competitor. Like, I want a competitor. That's why I freaking hate Kodai Senga. Like, I'm pissed off. Like, I don't like that. I'm not going to blame him. I mean, I think that's a little aggressive. But, like, I do kind of like it, dude. Where it's like, shit, I messed up. I can't punch myself. I'm going to drill my catcher. Like, I wouldn't be doing that. Yeah. But it's kind of like, I like that there's enough dog in them. It's like, okay. But again, there is a concern. I don't think they're going to be injured. Like, again, Martino's already shot it down. But again, I do like that there's a competitive nature in them. Like, I do prefer, I want bulldogs. I don't want, Chihuahuas. I like guys that want the ball and I want to get big outs. And when you make a mistake, again, it happened. But again, I don't think they're going to be in it because now, obviously, with the qualifying offer attached, I think the only guy that maybe, again, eventually, I think we're going to talk about at some point in the show is going to be Cease. That's the only one where I'm like, okay, that I can, giving up the draft pick for. And, again, the upside of getting him in the pitching, this generational pitching lab that we have. And we'll see, obviously, now with Justin Willard and now.
Oh, yeah, not anymore.
Like, that's the guy
gone. The pitching lab is shut down.
No.
That's
a bunch of frauds, That's gone. He took it. Now he went to Atlanta. I can't wait for,
fly high
fifth rounder for the Braves to go now. So, again, like, if he's my 3, I love it. And if you're trying to win the World Series before a lockout, it's a decent idea. I don't, now with Martino shooting it down plus that stuff and a draft pick, I don't think the Mets are going to be in this conversation.
They probably won't be. Now, for context, let's just say that the altercation, before I swing it over to you, Frank, let's just explain it real quick. There was a game in late September where the Astros were playing the Yankees. Framber Valdez crossed up his catcher, and his catcher didn't really know what was going on. The next pitch, the catcher told him to step off, and Valdez did not step off. He ended up throwing the pitch, and on that pitch, was it Volpe? He hit a home run. Volpe, Gresham, somebody hit a home run.
Gresham homered.
Yeah.
Volpe was the guy to get at bat when he got hit.
Obviously, he paid the price for it because he gave up a home run, something he doesn't do often. Bright side. Yeah. But, Frank, I'll go to you here. Obviously, there's talk about it's like, okay, do you sign him to be your number 3? I do think that Valdez, considering the volume he can give you, it can be considered as somebody who could be a number 3. It also could be considered as somebody who could be a number 2. However, I don't know how much upside is left with him being 32 years old. So we'll see what happens there. But let's say if you're starting to start here and you're like, okay, we trade Senga, we trade McNeil. Let's say that's out of the equation. And you bring in Framber Valdez and you're looking at worst case, the top 2 of your rotation being Nolan McLean and Framber Valdez, which again is wishful thinking here. Game 1 and game 2, if that's your worst case scenario, do you feel comfortable with that? Even though you can make other changes, obviously.
You're going to need a huge season out of McLean. If you're going into the year with expectation, he's going to be my number 1. While we saw great stuff, we saw great results.
Of course.
It is a rookie and a short sample size. So no matter what, no matter who it is, you always have to not bank on that, especially we said with Nolan still being new to this whole like working his arm up. Yeah. How is he going to get through the full season? But what I will say about Valdez, the thing I like the most is that you get full seasons out of him. That's something.
Yes.
One of the reasons I've liked Freddie Peralta so much is that year in, year out, can you give me 30 starts for Valdez? That's a yes. What I don't like, though, is that he's someone who the past 3 seasons prior to this last one was finishing, top 10 in Cy Young voting, multi-time All-Star. But now he just wasn't as good last year. And like you said, now he's going into age 32. So, which version of Valdez are you going to be getting? This also is not going to be a 1-year deal. So if you're talking about a multi-year deal, okay, well, what did the last few years look like for somebody like Valdez? And I think that this is a year where there actually is a good amount of pitchers available. I mean, Andrew mentioned Cease, but you could throw out some other names too. Like somebody like Michael King, somebody like Zach Gallen you could take a flyer on. Like I always mentioned, Freddie Peralta in the trade market. There's some ridiculous names being talked out there in the trade market online, whether that be Scooball, Joe Ryan. I mean, there are some crazy talks. And I feel like if I'm going to add a starting pitcher, I just feel like there are some other guys that I would prefer, because I don't love this idea of signing a 3 with the hopes of a 2. I feel like I want to look for a 1 or a no doubt about it 2. I don't like this tweener 3, maybe 2, but again, already over 30. And I think a team that we have leadership concerns, I wonder, adding a big personality, I just don't know if this is the clubhouse you add that to when we have our leadership concerns right now. We lost Starling Marte, our big leader, apparently, our other one. So I just think there's a couple things here that I'm just a little I don't love it. I understand it. I don't
rough
hate
around
it,
the edges,
but I'm not this is a top of my priority list in the offseason. I just feel like there's some other starting pitchers out there right now that I feel a little more comfortable with, that I would rather try to get and see what they could provide. Because with Valdez, he would certainly be an upgrade to what this rotation has, no doubt about it. I mean, you look at what they're getting from so many of these other guys, he's way more proven. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that there are some other options that are pretty appealing too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've seen the Mets kind of pivot in a way to focusing in on one guy, but not panicking to the next one. Would Framber Valdez be seen as, oh, well, we swung and missed on Scooball in the trade market. We swung and missed on this, on Joe Ryan, or swung and missed on this. Let's move to Framber Valdez and give him all this money. I don't think that that's going to be the mindset, because, again, that's kind of just been how they have been, but also adding to the formula of Valdez being 32 years old. They've talked about giving free agents, after 30 years old, these types of pieces, this type of stuff. Now, obviously, Valdez, his velocity has come up, has gotten up in these last few years. Obviously a disgusting sinker that he has, that he administrates an insane amount of ground balls, which I think probably could help in the volume sense if you shore up the infield defense, of course, and that goes back to the young guys in the infield of who they move. But again, I wouldn't hate it. I really think it just all comes down to the money. It really just all comes down to what the contract looks like. If you're talking about a 3-year deal for Framber Valdez, I'm good with that. If you're talking about 6 years, which he's probably asking, then I'm like, no thanks. I'll give 3 years to someone who could be a 3 or possibly a 2. That I'd be willing to do. That's what they did with Sean Manaea, but they obviously had more wishful thinking of him coming off of such a great year. Valdez has done this for years, for seasons. I mean, 4 consecutive years he has had quality seasons. So, again, I think the volume is what is the most appealing. The competitiveness, like Andrew said, not so crossing up your catcher and showing him up like a dickhead, but I think there's red flags with this, but there also is a selling point to this makes the rotation better, and it all really just comes down to the right price. Now, of course, if he is showing up his catcher, if he's showing up Francisco Alvarez, then he's going to make an enemy out of Frank, and then it's going to get bad.
Oh, boy.
And also, if that does end up happening, we know with New York, he's going to have a huge target on his back, no matter what, whether it's from fans or media or whatever. That's not going to be something that they like. And sports radio, we all know, will be all over it. But since he was playing in Houston, maybe because he was playing the Yankees, everybody kind of noticed it a little bit more. But who knows? Is it something that, he can handle? being in New York with that type of spotlight. He's pitched in Houston his entire career. And we've also seen in the postseason with him, mixed bag of results with him. Like, he's had good postseasons. He had one in what was it, 2022? It was like a sub 1.5 earned run average in the postseason. He had another one that was good in 2020, up and down in 2023. So he's had some, deep playoff runs that he has gone through, and he's been able to recover well from them with those extra innings. And obviously with him being that ground ball guy, he can go deep into these games. Not to mention Nolan McLean, who probably is more on that ground ball end of things, even though he can get plenty of whiffs with that great stuff that he has. I feel like you do need a little bit more of a strikeout pitcher if you're targeting this here, saying if you sign Framber Valdez, make McLean the 2, and then you trade for a Skubal or Ryan. Now that makes it a little bit more sexy in a way right there. Do I think they do all that? I don't think so. But it's a good option to have that if it's still on the free agent market, let's say, towards pitchers and catchers reporting, which probably doesn't help him in a way. But let's say it's February 1st, and I'm 24 years old on that day. Happy birthday to me. Let's say it's February 1st, he's still available. That's when I would be like, okay, let's make a call here. Let's see what he wants. Let's see, because there's nobody in this rotation right now that's saying, oh, well, we got to keep him here. We got to keep, David Peterson's got to stay in the rotation. No. Who's going to, Tyler McGill is keeping a spot warm on the 40-man roster. We got to keep him here. Speaking of Tyler McGill, we'll bring him up in a second. But there is plenty to obviously go over with this rotation. And I feel like one addition, if they're just looking at one addition, which I don't think it will be, I think it's going to be 2. If it's one addition, I don't think it should be Framber Valdez. And Emma Easy saying that the catcher situation is overblown. If he pitches well, no one will give a shit. Probably, obviously, everyone will just toss it out. But that's quite a big if when you put on a Mets jersey. You never know. He could stub his toe during the press conference.
Leaving Houston.
Leaving Houston, yes.
I mean, Houston to the Mets is quite a change, especially for pitching.
It is 100%. Is. And even though Citi Field is more of a pitcher's ballpark compared to Houston, it's about keeping the ball on the ground for him. That's it. And, does the defense fit for that? Who knows? I don't know. Good run prevention.
He'll take out his hamstring too. You keep putting the ball on the ground.
Who knows? I have no idea. You never know. Anything could happen when you're on the New York Mets. Anything special could happen. Anyways, I do want to turn over to a little bit more of a smaller segment here because it's a very quick discussion, and that being the non-tender deadline, which is tomorrow. I'm pretty sure, right? Tomorrow, Saturday, around there, we will see the non-tenders. Now, obviously, the guys that are ARB eligible, they will have to make a decision whether they're going to tender them a contract in arbitration. And obviously those arbitrations get settled later on in the offseason or maybe a little bit earlier. But I do want to talk about the non-tender candidates. Now, we did get one that was just reported by Will Salmon during the stream that we went live here, that they are expected to non-tender Danny Young, who is not on the 40-man technically because he's on the 60-day IL as of right now because he got Tommy John surgery, which is something that we kind of expected. We'll see what else they have in store for this non-tender deadline, but I do want to go over the candidates here as to who is the most likely. Now, the guys that I'm just going to eliminate here that I expect them to tender a contract, I'll just go over them now, but there's other guys who are kind of on the fence with this, whether it's with injuries or whatever. David Peterson, I expect them to tender him a contract. Tyrone Taylor will likely be back. Francisco Alvarez will be back. Luis Torrens will be back. And then maybe Huskar Brazaban because he is still healthy. And it's $1.3 million for a possible middle reliever or long reliever, which I think that they will go for. Then there's 4 other guys who are arbitration eligible that we just don't know, and it's pretty interchangeable. I thought Nick Madrigal was elected to free agency, but he's still on that arbitration eligible list. So he might be, I don't know if he comes back, but anyways, Frank, I will turn it over to you. There's one guy that I think that is the most prominent out of all of them that I think is a candidate to get non-tendered. And if he doesn't get non-tendered, then they must really, really, really believe in him with him getting Tommy John surgery, and that's Tyler McGill. So is it time to cut the cord here? Like, is it 2.6 million? Is that like, I'd say it is. I think it is.
I wonder if they would look at maybe like some kind of restructuring, like you do the non-tender and then sign them to like a 2-year or something weird like that they do with some pitchers. But I think for me, it's like Madrigal. I was very clear last offseason he should have never been here in the first place. He ended up fall on his face and get hurt. Some dumb stuff. Like, no, please, by all means, do not bring this guy back. Please, please, please don't. Everyone else, I feel like the numbers are so low that I don't see why not. Like the catchers are obvious. Taylor, I guess, because like who else is going to play center field for you? Literally, like you don't have anyone else. You got rid of Siri, you got rid of Mullins. I mean, so who else is left? So as of right now, by default, he's probably your center fielder. Garrett, he was frustrating to watch last year, but I think the Mets believe in him enough for that price. It's like an extra arm at this point. Same goes for Brazaban. Like he has some really good moments. He has some ugly moments that for that price might as well. Kranick he had a weird season too. I mean, he got off to a great start, then he struggled a lot. But still, I mean, for those numbers, when it comes to pitching, I feel like you keep most of those guys. So I don't think there's any too like crazy decisions based off what they're projected to get paid. But I mean, like you said, you really just never know with these guys. Every now and then you will see like some surprising ones. But like Andrew says, you also have to account for like who might be available too. You know, it's like, are these guys worth keeping over some of the other players who could become available too, though?
Yeah, I mean, Kranick will be probably out for a majority of 2026, obviously. Reed Garrett is done for 2026. He will probably come back in 2027 if he is tendered a contract. Andrew, again, McGill, probably the most likely out of all of them, even though I also do expect Francisco Alvarez to get non-tendered. Andrew, what do you think on this? Obviously, this is just a quick fire here because, again, McGill, what is the future here? Like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and again, I would love to just be done with him, but like again, like we've talked, like you guys have said, like the guys that like are having Tommy John, you got McGill and you got Kranick, both guys are an ARB 1, so you still have 2 more years of control, and the money isn't going to go up because they're not going to see any improvement. Maybe Kranick gets into a few games at the end, maybe at the end of the season. So worst case, again, you tender him the $1 million now. And then, next year is going to be probably the same number. So, and you bring those 2 guys back. McGill, I'm done. But again, it's pitching, and you can never have enough cheap pitching in the $2.6 million. And again, technically, he's going to be a free agent. And that's the thing. It's like I think let's love Frank's going to love.
But we are a family here, so we're going to nurse him back to health. So
exactly. Do we just Drew Smith him and say, hey, you can come back for $1.5 million, and you can rehab with this pitching lab, and again you can come in, and again there's a possibility that happens, and like, again there's nobody, and there's not a clear cut that guy has to go. I mean, we're talking about McGill because he's just hurt and he's going to be a pending UFA. But again, you're in a kind of good spot again. But we're going to get pretty close to Acuna, Beatty, and Ruscio getting close to that. Being on these non-tender conversations after this upcoming season, if we play baseball ever again after 2026. So again, I think all those guys are going to get tendered. If you want to say McGill, just because again he's injured, and it could definitely get that Drew Smith treatment of, hey, here's a 2-year deal, here's $1.5 million, come on back, and we like you, and maybe we could turn you into your reliever brother, or you're just kind of the ugly brother of the two that you're never going to promote to anything besides just being mid.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Danny Young, I'm pretty sure he was in pre-arb as well, so he wasn't in an
Yeah.
arbitration eligible. Some other guys that are in pre-arb, I mean, if you want to, if I can roll it, obviously. I mean, Jared Young, I don't know if I don't know if he stays.
Yeah.
There could be certain guys who could be put off the roster because again, they have a full 40-man roster right now. Like the roster is like completely full. They made a transaction to add Nick Morabito, who was one of their Rule 5 guys to protect. The corresponding move was Frankie Montas being DFA'd, and I know everyone's heartbroken about that. But again, they have a 40-man roster right now, and they don't have many. They have like no roster spots open, so there could be a list of guys that are let go in pre-arb, or maybe there is somebody in arbitration as well, because they obviously need to add guys to this roster. And there's also some waiver claims as well that could be moved out as some placeholders. But we'll see what happens there. If anybody wants to say a farewell to Frankie Montas, we could do that. But to be honest, bye at this point. Some other news that I just want to put out here on the table. I'll get to something in a second. But let's see. There was one thing that I wanted to put out here. Obviously, Edwin Diaz rejecting the qualifying offer, which we all expected. And Nate Lavender, that we didn't even get to discuss last episode. He was returned to us by Tampa, who obviously he was rehabbing with Tommy John surgery, so maybe he will be back for the AAA season. Seems like he's going to be assigned to AAA to start the year. And then obviously Edwin Diaz winning reliever of the year. There was, Juan Soto making all MLB first team, all those different details. But also there was one piece that I do want to bring up to remind everyone of the Mets coaching staff being completely finished. I just want to talk about say the finished product of everything, of their coaching staff obviously being completely filled in. So Carlos Mendoza is the manager. If you're upset about that, I don't know what to tell you. He's going to be back for 2026. Kai Correa is their bench coach. Major League hitting director Jeff Albert, as they said, they promoted him from being minor league coordinator. Troy Snitker, our new hitting coach. Let's hope he's better than the last one. Our assistant hitting coach, Rafael Fernandez, who was with the organization last year. He was kind of a special assistant, and he also worked with some of the players in the minor leagues. Justin Willard, the pitching coach, who was just introduced yesterday. The assistant pitching coach is Dan McKinney, who was their pitching coach in Double-A Binghamton. So he worked a lot with the young guys with, Scott and Tong and McLean and Sproat. Jose Rosado, he was our bullpen coach last year, so he's returning. Gilbert Gomez is going to be our first base coach and outfield coach for 2026, replacing the irreplaceable Anton Richardson, which was the make or break of us going to the playoffs, obviously. Gilbert Gomez was the manager of High A Brooklyn, and he managed them to a championship this year. So he is coming all the way up from High A Brooklyn to the major leagues to be their first base coach and outfield coach. Their infield coach and third base coach, Tim Leeper. He was with the San Diego Padres for multiple years. Danny Barnes, quality assurance coach. He was here last year. And then JP Arancibia is going to be the catching coach. Now, obviously, one thing I will flick over to Frank is the catching coach, JP Arancibia. He had those kind words about your guy, Francisco Alvarez, when he was back in the minors, and now he gets to work with him as a catcher at the major league level. And we know that, Arancibia was a catcher when he was in the major league. So I think they did a really good job filling this out in theory. We'll see how it works. But I think that's definitely a good pick for a guy like Francisco Alvarez, if to have a guy like that in his ear who has been definitely encouraging and helped him get on the right track last year.
Yeah, and if anything, with Alvarez, the struggles have been like offensively. So,
Sure.
Listen, hopefully Aaron Seba could help him with some defense stuff, but But we know that as far as coaching wise, there were more concerns about what the hitting coach was putting in Alvarez's ear, and the differences you saw when he went to the minors. And I think overall the Mets definitely really promoted from within for a lot of these positions. They really stayed in the organization. But the guys they went out and got, they're not household names. I mean, they're coaches that you haven't really heard of. So you really have got to hope that Stearns chose the right guys and that they fit with what they want to do, because it is a risk when you're going. I mean, even Mendoza still is technically a pretty new manager. I mean, overall, I know it's his third season with the Mets, but it's also his third season as a manager. So you have, I just feel like, a very young staff all the way around. So I am fascinated to see how this works, because they've got to trust what they believe as far as their interviewing process and how they feel these guys fit, because they are not people that you normally hear about.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of good work that have been done with a lot of the young guys, which is what is the most encouraging part to it. And hopefully this is a good combination that shows us some sustainability. Maybe we see some consistency of this offense, or see some consistency with the infield defense, because that was another thing that was a big problem. However, some other things that I just wanted to go over. There was one report, which obviously is important to the two of you guys. I don't know if you guys saw this. Carlos Beltran, if he does make it into the Hall of Fame, he will be as a Met. So does that? He's
also going in the Mets Hall of Fame next year. So that's
going in the
also
Mets Hall of Fame next year.
Too.
So could that be a double? We'll see.
Well, maybe is Tyrone Taylor going to finally take his number off? I mean, can we get that done while we're at it?
Number, Frank, I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh!
I don't think it's going to happen.
It's going to be
sorry.
Yeah, once we're
but think about it. But if he goes in the Hall of Fame as a Met, like, you got to retire that number. I mean, come on. Now. We've had non-Hall of Famers get their numbers retired. I mean, come on.
I don't know, but that's for other circumstances. Again, there's some controversy with the name of Carlos Beltran still.
Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't bring. He hasn't brought that cheating scheme to the Mets that he's the mastermind behind. He hasn't brought it to the Mets. It's not working.
Yeah. If the Mets are cheating, they suck at it. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But any other stuff that I think we covered, I'm pretty sure we did. Even Carlos Beltran was talking a little bit about earlier this week while they were doing the DR game at Citi Field, which I think is it's a winter ball exhibition, right?
Yeah,
is that what it is?
I was there.
Okay. You were there? Okay.
I was there. Beltran was there. Delgado was there.
Okay.
Tolo was there.
Diaz was there.
Wow.
Yeah. Diaz was there. Yep, he was.
I saw the intros of it, but I had to work on some stuff during the day. So anyway, Robinson Cano, you got to see him play.
Cano, don't you know? I did see him.
Yes.
His last U.S. game. I mean,
the last Met to ever wear 24. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's yikes.
Don't ask us who the last Met to wear 36 is. Anyways. It's not a player. Anyways.
Exactly.
Last remarks. Yeah. Yep. Last remarks. Andrew, I will go to you. Still waiting for that big first drop. Sleepy Stearns, what the hell are you doing?
Again, leave it to Jerry DePoto to, of course, make the first move of the offseason. But yeah, again, we got the first big trade out the way. We got the first big signing. So again, we're about 2 weeks from the deadline, the winter meeting. So we're getting close to that time. Sadly, I do not have a chance to get thrown out this year because it's in Florida, not Nashville. Please bring it back to Nashville. I'd love to get thrown out again. Kidding. But again, I'd expect at some point next week we'll probably get our first signing, a major league signing. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a reliever, and I can't wait for it to be, oh my God, we signed Joe Boyle to a friggin' 1-year major league contract, and everyone's going to lose their damn mind. But again, obviously tomorrow, it's non-tender deadline. There's some interesting names that I have an eye on that maybe are 50-50 if their teams pick up. So again, you're going to have that. And again, it's always my favorite time because Black Friday is going to be the yearly Rhino offseason video. So again, wait for the non-tender deadline to hit. Well, obviously, we're going to be pumping out more videos too next week. One of them will be the Rhino, because Rhino versus Stearns videos. I'm going to keep calling
off-season simulation. I guess that what we're going to do. I don't know. I guess that's what we'll call it.
We'll figure it out.
We'll call it something. I don't know. But speaking of videos, we do have one. Yeah, we do have one coming out on this Saturday, that the two of us recorded together earlier this week. So that will be out on Saturday. And then for the next week, which is Thanksgiving, and that would lie on our show, we're not going to go live because Thanksgiving, people should be with their families and not yapping about a New York Mets team in an off-season swing right now. So we'll probably have about 2 videos there, multiple videos there. Maybe we will go. You okay, Andrew? You good? Okay.
Yeah, the Royals just the Royals just signed one of my guys. I'm upset, but yeah. Cool. That's one.
One of your minor league guys?
No, a former big leaguer. Alex Lang is signed with the Royals. So just really pissed me off.
Okay. Well, outdated, I guess. We're outdated.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Thanks,
Frank, we're probably, we're going to have a pretty good big gap until this next episode. So your last words for a while.
Get someone good. So you try to get someone not coming off an injury. That was like my big gripe all year long. Prioritize recent health. I think that's the thing too, is that like if you're already a team that's committed so much money, like the signings you make, they have to be like very calculated. So it's like you don't want to then invest more money for the guys to not even play. Look at Montas. Like they DFA Montas. He $17 million just down the drain. Absolutely down the drain. And he wasn't good anyways. Like, so, don't do that. Don't sign Montas. It's basically the final.
Let's not. That would be sick. Which I don't think we're going to have a signing as bad as that turned out to be. However, Mets always take that as a challenge. So you never, ever know. Either way, like I said, no live show next week, which is on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, but we will have about in between now and the next episode we do, probably like 3 or 4 videos that go out. So you're still going to be seeing content. You'll still be seeing some off-season stuff, and then we will be back for the winter meetings coverage, and we'll see what we do on that content-wise. I have not thought that further down the line. However, thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to wrap it up here. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications. Do not miss when we go live. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. The links are in the description. And finally, let's go Mets. We will see you guys next time.